Welcome back to the Man of the Prize podcast. Of course, Harvey, it's me. You know who I am. And another week, another good guest, a man that I have spoken to before, but now it's just him. We had his wife before. Now it's just man to man, just us chopping it up. Eddie Ruff is on with us. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm real good.
Excellent. Thank you for taking some time with us. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm looking to open up. I'm trying to find men from all different kinds of backgrounds, lifestyles, see what's going on. So I'm glad you gave me a few minutes to talk. So again, thank you. We appreciate it.
I'm glad to be here.
Oh, no doubt. That's what's up. So before we get started, what I do for everybody is this is kind of my disclaimer. I am an expert in one thing, and that is being me. What this really is an open, safe space for men to talk about anything, emotions, life, struggles, ups, downs, whatever, without fear of judgment, reprisal, anything like that. If within this conversation you feel something, you open up, or maybe a wound is open and you're not feeling good, take this opportunity to find somebody to talk to, a friend, a mentor, somebody professionally trained. I cannot diagnose. All I can do is talk to men, and hopefully these conversations lead to positivity and good things for our guests and our listeners. So keep that in mind. I hope this stirs something in your soul and you feel the need to take care of it and deal with it, and hope that's something that's good for you. And with that said, Eddie, you ready?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So the first thing I do, by the way, just quick, P.R.I.Z.E is the name, is probably the important part of the name of the podcast. But I take P.R.I.Z.E. I take letters from that word and I use it for questions for you. So you'll see
Okay.
when we get there. But before I do that, if you could give me like a quick, like 15, 20-second personal bio just about you on the quick. Somebody needed to know about you like this. What would you tell them real quick?
Air Force vet, stay-at-home father, stoner. I'm a man, polyamorous. Been married for 10 years. I have a wife and a girlfriend. Me and my girlfriend have been together for 6 months. Uh, yeah.
Okay. That's okay. That's a good bio. I'll take it. All right. So we get right into it. Basically, it's the prize discussion. So like I said, the word is prize, 5 letters, 4 of them have meaning. The last letter, I, is the culmination of everything. So the first letter in the word prize is P, and the first word is purpose. And that's defined as reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. So Eddie, what is your purpose?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure that out. Um, Throughout maybe the past year or so, I've really been trying to figure out what my purpose is. I've done a lot of self-examining and had to work through a lot of things, like working on my confidence and things like that, so that I could have so that I could have the confidence to go out and find what my purpose is. So I I don't even know right now, but I'm on that journey to find out.
Okay. And knowing that is a good thing. Being aware that you're still searching, that you're still on this journey to find out what you're really here for is important, because we're not all there. A lot of us
Right.
think we know what's up, but we really don't.
Really don't.
And
Right.
being aware that I don't know, and I'm 47 and I still like, I mean, by now I should have known what my career was going to be. I should have known this, all that, all these things. And I'm still somewhat in just like this place where I'm still not sure. So I know
Mhm.
exactly what you mean. It's just, but you don't want to let it break you. You want to use this as a learning, take opportunity to take this journey. Okay, what am I supposed to be? How are you doing it? That's the question I have for you. So how are you trying to find your purpose? What are you doing? You said,
Um,
yeah, get into that.
I am in therapy.
Okay.
I've actually been in therapy since I was 21 years old.
Okay.
So I'm 34 now. So I've been in consistent therapy since I was 21. But like I said, the past year, maybe year or so, I've been honest in therapy. Like
Mm-hmm.
not just going in there and talking about the talking about my day or talking about what happened last week, but like really getting into the nitty gritty of things.
Okay.
Um, with my therapist, I have a really good relationship with my girlfriend, and her and I talk about like personal things, my feelings and things like that. And I have a best friend that I talk to about those things as well. So I have a lot of outlets. Um, and my main one is therapy.
Okay. Let me just jump on what you just said. You said, I mean, you've been in therapy for a long time, but you said now you're being honest.
Hmm.
That's so if whatever you want to give. So does that mean that you feel like you weren't really getting into stuff when you were going before? You were kind of just
Yeah,
talking, but now you're examining, now you like really getting into the ish. Is that what you think?
right. Yeah, yeah. Now it's like I'm not just not even scratching the surface. Like I knew that I know, not new, I know that I have issues.
Right.
And instead of continuing to slap a band-aid on those issues, you know, let's figure out what we need to do to cure this shit or close up this wound or whatever. And it took a lot of courage to get there because a lot of the things that I know I have dealt with have been rooted in trauma. So having the courage to face my trauma um was really the first step in me being honest in therapy because I was tired of going through the same old shit. Like I was tired of going of I have a belief that the universe is going to continue to throw the same test at you until you get it right. And it's not going to look the same each time, like it's going to be a different test, but the purpose is going to be the same. And I was failing the same fucking test over and over again. So it was like, okay, what the fuck am I doing wrong? Not what did this person do to me? Not what's up with me? What's going on with me that creates these situations where I that create these situations and then make me feel some type of way. And then here I am deep in my feelings, overthinking shit, deeply emotional, because I'm a very emotional dude.
Right.
Like very in tune with my emotions, and it gets on my nerves. So it's irritating to me to be so emotional, but it was a part of the process for me being honest about the things that I've gone through. Like I had to deal with the emotions behind them.
Okay. Okay. That's getting to that point is just like half the battle. It's
Hmm.
recognize that I'm going through some stuff, and sometimes I am my worst enemy. Like
Hmm.
I got to get past me to get to where I need
Right.
to be. That's such a big
Right.
deal. That's so important. And I mean, the reason I started this is because we men in general, but Black men kind of, we don't talk about this stuff. We have
Mm.
internalized so much, so much.
Right.
We carrying so much with us. So the fact that you needed therapy, but then that's another point. Even you going to therapy, but then you got to take advantage of it. And sometimes we
Hmm.
may do that, but then we don't really use it to our advantage. And you sound
Right.
like you're really used now. You're really at the point where like, okay, I got somebody. I need to take advantage of it. I got to really open up. So I applaud you
Right.
for that because you've taken a few steps that a lot of us are not even really ready to do. So you
Yeah.
obviously you're on the rise. You on the way. You on the rise. You're gonna get better. And I appreciate you saying that. Um, and with that, because you mentioned, a lot of stuff that you have going on with you has to do with the trauma that you've dealt with. And that leads into the next letter in the word prize, and that is R, and that word is resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. So if you can think of something that happened anytime in your life where it kind of showed you what your resilience is, or that you had resilience to begin with, can you think of something?
My first wife cheated on me and had a baby on me
Wow.
when I was in Iraq. I raised that child like he was mine. Even after I found out that he was no longer mine, he was still a part of my life. Um, and moving into me and my current wife marriage, he was living with us. So I knew that he wasn't mine and he was living with us. And I think it was like maybe I have not seen him in 3, maybe 4 years now. And that's because my ex came and got him in the middle of the night with the sheriff's department and the DNA test saying that I was not the father. Uh so they came and got him, and that shit that shit broke me.
I-
Like that destroyed me. Like of anything that I can think of, that's probably the one thing that could have taken me out. That if I'm should have taken me out,
Right.
but I'm still here.
Wow.
So I mean, and even dealing with like the trauma from that, like it still comes up because of the relationships that I have with, my girlfriend's kids.
Right.
And my wife's boyfriend's son is like 2 years old, and my wife keeps him sometimes, and I've built a relationship with him. But part of my PTSD with that is this child can be taken away from me, so I don't need to get too close.
Right.
So, that dealing with that trauma as well, but I still decide to, because he's a cool little dude.
Right.
So, whenever he's over here, we playing. I've bought him toys and all kind of shit, and it's just like I can't allow what happened to prevent me from creating new experiences and new memories. So really just going resiliency to me is going with the flow. Resiliency to me is not allowing what happened in my past to hinder my future.
Mm, I hear that. That's deep, brother. That's serious. So if you can, obviously that is traumatic, just doesn't even seem right. I don't even know if I can handle that. Was it a concerted effort on your part to deal with it? Or was it just like, this is terrible, this is what it is, I just got to deal with it? Did you take any steps? Did you talk to somebody? How did you come out from under that? Because I know that had to have been super difficult.
Uh I was in a state of depression for maybe a month or two. Like I had started cutting myself. Um and this is during the time that I wasn't being honest with my therapist. Like the therapist that I have now, I've had for the past 4 or 5 years. So that was in the beginning of me learning him and him learning me. So I didn't really trust him. Uh, so honestly, I was dealing with a lot of that shit by myself.
Mhm.
I was drinking like fucking crazy. I was drinking heavy. Um, I was working for Sherwin Williams at the time, and I was working third shift. So that's like 11 at night to like that's the overnight shift.
Right.
And I would get off from work at 7 o'clock in the morning and drink myself to sleep. Like I was toe up. I was toe up, like no lie. That shit really broke me. And then during that time, I lost my job. So that piled on top of what I'm already dealing with, like I had suicidal thoughts. Like I was ready because at the same time, all of this was going on. Me and my wife's relationship wasn't the best.
Mhm.
We was going through things, and I know why we was going through things because I was going through things.
Right.
So we wasn't connected because I wasn't talking to her about the shit that I was dealing with. Um, it was rough, and I was having a conversation with my daughter, and I can't remember what it was that she said, but it was something simple. It was like, she came out of nowhere and she was like, "Daddy, I love you." And she gave me a hug, and like I just started bawling. Like I just started crying. And it was that moment that I was like, okay, I need to figure out what the fuck's going on. I need to really be honest about how I feel, because obviously she's picking up on my vibe. Obviously she feels my energy. Um, so that was the turning point right there.
That's good. But you came out of it. You still here. That's the most important thing.
Yeah,
That might have been the lowest of the low, but you came out of it. And that's important. And sometimes it's as simple as a touch or a
yeah.
few words from somebody close to you to kind of have you recognize what's going on. So that's good to hear. That's tough. Wow. Okay, we continue. I'll skip the I. Next letter in the word prize is Z. The word is zeal, and that is enthusiastic devotion. So what are you enthusiastically devoted to now?
Marijuana.
All right. Oh, okay.
Look, if
Okay.
ain't nothing else constant in life, it's marijuana. She's gonna be there for me through it all.
Okay. Okay. I have
But
never,
honest,
I've never smoked, so I can't speak from any experience, but
so being a combat vet, with mental health issues and physical health issues,
mhm.
um, weed has been the absolute best thing I have ever done. Like I was on maybe 8 different pills
Mm.
that I was supposed to take a day. 8 different pills.
Wow.
So really, literally walking around like a fucking zombie. In order for my mood to be like this, just to be flat, that I had to take 8 different pills. But now I smoke, hit a bowl of weed or something, and I'm good. Like I don't just smoke for the, well, yes I do. I'm not even gonna lie. I smoke for the fun of it. But I know that uh weed has helped me through a lot of shit lately. Like being able to smoke and just chill, because I have a ritual. So it's not like it's meaningless. Like it's definitely intentional whenever I do smoke sometimes.
Okay.
Um I may have a bad attitude that day. So, or that wake up on the wrong side of the bed, let me smoke, fix my attitude. I feel myself going into a depression or something like that. I don't want to eat. I don't want to get out the bed. Let me do my ritual, which is music. I got to get up, come downstairs, go outside, go in the garage, and like I said, I got a whole ritual that'll take me out of my head and puts me in the present moment. So, mar not even gonna lie, marijuana is it. Marijuana
Okay.
is it.
Okay.
'Cause it, like, my girlfriend found out this weekend, because I was sober this weekend.
Mhm.
So my girlfriend found out this weekend that I am a very mean person when I'm sober.
Okay. Okay.
My patience, like is super thin already, and uh anxiety is a bitch, and it was kicking my ass this weekend because we was at a cheerleading competition, so it was something new. So motherfuckers everywhere. I don't fuck with the police. It was police everywhere. Like it was just like overload, anxiety overload, and I was sober the whole time. So
Wow.
she saw a different side of me this weekend.
Was that by choice? Were you just out? Why were you sober?
So the purpose of us being there, me and my daughter went. So the purpose of us being there was the cheer competition, and the shit was all day.
Okay.
Like we was there at 9, from 9 in the morning to like 6 that night.
Mm.
I got a homeboy that stay out there, but he lives in Fort Worth. And he wanted me to come to him. And that was a 45-minute drive from where we was at. So I was tired. So at that time I wanted to eat and get back to the room. So yeah, it was cool though. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience. Not being sober, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the cheer competition experience. So it was cool. It was worth it.
Okay. Okay. That's good. I feel um I have a question. I'll come back to it. So the last letter in prize is E, and the word is expectation. So expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. So when I ask people about this one, I do it a little bit different. Obviously, you have a life, you're a stay-at-home dad, you got things going on, and you have therapy and you're talking about dealing with your issues. What do you expect from yourself, or where do you expect to be in 1 year, in 5 years, and in 10 years?
In 1 year, I plan on my businesses being launched. Um, like all the ideas that I have written down on paper, I plan on making all of them come to pass within this year, actually. Um, the next 5 years, for those businesses and endeavors to be bringing in income for me to move my family into a bigger house.
Okay.
Uh, 5 years, my daughter will be almost out of school. No, she will be graduated high school. So sending her to college or whatever it is that she decided to do with some money in her pocket and in her account. Success. Success is all I can really think of for every one of those time frames. Just a different level. Like this first year is all about laying the foundation for the rest of it.
Okay. All right. Same thing. So 5 and 10, pretty much the same thing. Kids comfortable.
Yeah.
10 years, really comfortable, and then you kind of winding down, enjoying life, and you just making that just easy income where you ain't
I
got to
mean,
think about it.
I'm doing that now. Like I'm
Okay.
enjoying life now,
Okay.
but like I don't want to just be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to just be comfortable. Because when you get comfortable, that seems to be the time that shit start fucking up. Is when you start getting comfortable and you start getting complacent. So
Mm,
I don't want to get comfortable at whatever level I'm at in the next 5 years. Like I want to elevate everything that I'm doing that got me there in the next 5 years, so that in 5 years after that, like I'll be at a totally different platform.
okay. I feel you. Okay. All right. So the purpose, the resilience, the zeal, and the expectation all lead to the I in the middle of the word prize. And for me, when I kind of came up with this, it just felt like the I kind of symbolizes us as men, because I don't think we all know who we are.
Mhm.
We know who we're supposed to be, and we know what we're supposed to do. So my question, what we did with the I, is when I take away, or when you take away all the titles, all the shackles that are kind of thrown on us, when you're not a husband, a boyfriend, a father, an employee, a cheerleader, anything, when you're all those things and it's just you at your core, who are you?
Okay, so this makes sense to me. But I am Eddie Ruff, Eddie Roy Ruff III. There is only one of me. Like there's only one of me. And it wasn't up until a couple of months ago that my name alone held some type of weight to myself. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
when I would introduce myself, I would introduce myself as my last name. Because I didn't really like to be called Eddie. But accepting my entire name, accepting me for me, like like you said, stripping away being a father, stripping away being a boyfriend, a husband, all of that shit. And at the end of it, at the core of all of that is Eddie. And who Eddie is I'm a dope ass dude.
That's what's up. That's
Like
what's up.
my energy is dope. Uh my like experiencing me is dope. Like the whole experience of who Eddie is makes all of those different titles that I have to wear possible.
I like that. That, and I understand it completely. Obviously, that is a personal thing for you, but I understand exactly what you mean. Accepting all of your name really makes you feel like you're accepting all of who you are. I think at least
Right,
that's how I perceive it. And I like
right,
that. I like that too, because that's, I'm not just this. I'm this, this,
right,
this, and this, and that makes up all I am. I like that.
right,
And good. And
right.
that's really all for you. Nobody else needs to understand that. That's your own personal thing about how you feel about yourself. So even if I didn't get it, it's for you, and that's all that matters. But that's good.
Yeah.
That's self-esteem. You know, I think that's another thing that's not talked about. We spend so much time just doing what we have to do that our self-worth at times can kind of go up and down, and it isn't stable.
Hmm.
We don't really know who we are, how good we feel about each other, about ourselves. And
Right.
sometimes, and that's, I think it can lead to depression when you kind of realize, this is this all I am? I'm just here to work, come back, just work, pay, do whatever. Do I have any other
And
sides? Mhm.
being a stay-at-home father, like I do it all. Like I'm the one I take care of the home. Like I'm the one that's here doing homework with my kid. I'm taking her to school. I'm picking her up. I'm when she want to have friends over, like I'm the one that's got to be here and be
Sir.
around and entertain and all of that shit. But that's not all that I am.
Right. I feel you.
That's not all that I am. Like I have my own interests. I have my own things that I want to do, and you know, I learned from my mom, watching my mom when I was growing up, and how her identity was her family, and that's not something that I want to do. Like in the beginning of our relationship, most definitely, my identity was in my family. My identity was being a father and a husband. That was before we was poly. So, like, it was even to the point where if I wasn't doing something with them, I wasn't doing anything at all. Like, I didn't have my own identity. I didn't have my own thing. But now,
You good?
Sorry.
No problem. So I hear you, and I'm a stay-at-home dad too. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a stay-at-home dad too, and I got 4 of them at home. So I'm the same as you. Get up early, take them to school, pick them up, homework, shenanigans, all this stuff. I feel you. And parents in general, when you're dealing with your kids all the time, you're right. The whole thing, your identity can be wrapped up in these kids to the point where you don't know anything else. So I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about your mom. I feel that way. I think that's one of the reasons why this was created, because there was something else. I love my kids. You love your child, but you need to have diverse, interests. You need to have something else. It can't just be the kids. It can't just be the house. There's got to be something just for you, right?
Right.
So I
It's
feel you.
gotta be.
Yeah.
It's I think that's the healthiest thing
You
to
gotta raise
do
your volume. I can't hear
is
you
to
very well,
have
brother.
some things.
Raise your volume.
Oh, can you hear me now?
It's still kind of low. Can you get it higher?
Oh, hold on. It may be these earbuds. Hold on. Can you now?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you. That's cool.
Okay.
Mhm.
My bad.
It's all good.
Oh, damn, what was I saying?
Well, we were talking about with your kids and how you can get wrapped up in they can become your identity, but you got to have something for you, something that's separate.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I feel like it's healthy. Like that's the healthiest thing to do is you have to have your own identity outside of your partner, whether you're married or in a relationship or whatever, outside of your kids, outside of your family, like you gotta know who you are and what you like to do. Like, my mom is 54, will be 54 this year.
Okay.
And it took her years to figure out what it is that she liked because her identity was her family. And even my dad, my dad was military, so his identity was the military. So that was who he was for years. And having that type of relationship with my father created me one made me create a different persona for when I became a father, because I didn't want my kids to have the same experience that I had. But at the same time, sometimes you gotta say fuck them kids. Sometimes you gotta say fuck them kids. And fuck them kids, and fuck your wife and fuck your girlfriend. I need some me time. I need time for myself.
Right.
In the when it's warmer weather, I go and sit out in the creek out here, up the street from where I stay, and I'll take some weed out there with me, and I'll be out there for hours, just out there in nature, sitting by the creek and listening to music or writing or just doing absolutely nothing but listening to the water run sometimes. And even if nobody want to go with me, I'm gonna go by myself.
Mhm.
If I gotta go and take myself to lunch or take myself to dinner,
Mhm.
I go to my favorite restaurant and I'll do that. Or when Kiera is gone, spending time with her boyfriend, and Kaylin is gone, and I'm in the house by myself, I may just get a bunch of junk food and just smoke and eat all day. And I don't have to be bothered with anybody. And being comfortable enough to say I don't feel like being bothered today. Like, fend for yourself, because I ain't got it for you today. I ain't got it for you today.
I hear that, brother. So important. We have to know our limitations. We got to know our limits, because if you just let that go, it's going to come out in a real negative way. And we don't want
Right.
to, and we don't want that. And then it's the people around us who get that. We don't need that kind of negativity. And that's another good sign, recognizing your limits and knowing I need some time. So that's a good thing. So here's how I ended. I have 3 final questions that I came up with that I asked. And thank you for answering questions for P.R.I.Z.E. I appreciate it. So the first question I have for you is, what are you afraid of that you cannot control?
What am I afraid of that I cannot control? Damn, that's a good question. I don't know. I can't think of anything. I think I think so I keep saying something about poly, but being poly has taught me so much about life, about love, about myself, to the point where control is one of those things that I don't even want. Like, I don't even want control of anything but myself. So to even think of what I would be afraid of that I don't have control over is nothing.
And that's good. So then this next question is even better. I didn't mean to cut you off. What are you afraid of that you can control?
Losing my family. I can control that. Like, that's because that would be my actions and my willingness to work through whatever. But not if it means sacrificing my peace. Not if it's at the cost of my peace. Then I'm not afraid of it. Then it's got to go. Because if it's coming after my peace, it's not for me.
Feel you. That's good. And that's a big thing. Peace. I heard it a lot more when it talks about men and women in general in relationships. It's always women, just be his peace.
Mhm.
It's like, it's that thing. But I'm not entirely sure that another person can give you peace. I feel like that's an internal, a personal thing. because you have to want it and you have to be willing to, kind of sit in it and accept it and fight for it, I
You
think.
gotta already have it.
Mm,
And I think that your partner should either contribute to it,
mhm.
but they shouldn't be the explicit reason for you being at peace. Like they shouldn't be the only reason that you are at peace is because of this person. No. Because when that person leaves, if
Mhm.
that person decides that they done, then your peace goes with them. That's too expensive.
So
That's way too expensive.
that is
That's a luxury I cannot afford, is to attach my peace to somebody else. So
peace is currency. I like that. That's what it is. Peace is, and nobody should have enough money to take it from you.
right.
Like that. I like that. That was good, bro. That was good. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Um, with that, the reason that I want to talk to you is because anybody who listens to this knows that I have another podcast that I do with my wife called Love is Black. And we did a podcast. It was you and your wife and me,
Right.
Louise, my wife. And we had a really, really good conversation. And you were really open about the fact that you're poly. And you guys told us your love story and you told us about how you're being poly and stuff. So I was like, this would be a good opportunity to talk, because when you talked about poly, I felt like you were still kind of struggling with it. You were kind of dealing with it. So I figured the opportunity to just talk about it separately with you would be a good thing. And with that, tell people about a little bit about yourself, as much as you want to tell about poly and where people can find you and what you're doing. Because I know you got a pod, I know you got stuff going on. This is an opportunity to just hit us with everything. So what's going on with you?
Okay. So right now, the major thing is we are in the process of shooting a reality show.
What's up?
We should be done shooting maybe the end of March, hopefully the end of March,
Okay.
so that the pilot will be out at least by the summertime. The pilot episode should be out by the summertime. Ruff Talk 247. That's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. Really, everywhere. Yeah, our podcast is also on all streaming platforms. And again, you can look for Ruff Talk 247. I do a Instagram live show called The Man Cave every Thursday at 8 p.m. Me and my brother Felix. Yeah, that's the resume.
Okay. That's cool.
That's the
You
resume.
got a lot going on. That sounds good. That's what's up. All right. So everything that you mentioned, I will put in the episode notes. So for anybody who's listening, if you want to just a quick link to how to get to social media for Eddie, you can find all of that will be in there. And obviously we'll keep in touch. So when the pilot drops and when you blow up, hopefully you'll still take my texts and your messages. And I go, Eddie, you holler, could you do an episode? No, I'm busy. Me and Beyonce about to jump on a plane. We ain't got time, but I'm hoping.
Beyonce. I don't think I'll make it that big.
Dude,
that big.
listen, if you
But
do
hey,
make
you
it that
never
big,
know.
it's okay if you don't answer my
You
message.
never
It's
know.
cool. Hey, I hope you blow up. And one last question. If you, and you may do this, but given the opportunity to talk to a young Black boy, what advice would you give him growing up being a boy in this world?
It's okay to feel. It's okay to have emotions. It's okay to cry. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. Like, it's okay to not be okay. And the things that Black parents used to say is like I didn't know what the fuck depression was when I was growing up. Wasn't allowed to be depressed. Wasn't allowed to be depressed. And so, we held those emotions in for so long, and then they just kind of festered even into adulthood. But talk to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
Find somebody that you trust to talk to. Journal, write it down, but you got to get that shit out. If you don't get that shit out, it'll poison you, and it'll poison your heart, and it'll change you for the rest of your life. And you'll be fighting that shit until you decide to be honest with yourself.
I hear you. And that's such good advice. And it's not something that we typically would hear. We're not raised to be emotional. We're
Right.
raised to be stoic, to just deal with stuff, rub some dirt on it, move on, be a man, you'll be okay. But I think we've gotten to the point where we realize being a man is recognizing that we're emotional.
Mm.
Shit happens and you don't deal with it. I think we deal with it in bad ways. We keep it and then we throw it on somebody else because we don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, when we deal with it in a negative way, that's when we get into the toxic masculinity.
Right.
That's when that conversation comes into play, because men don't know how to handle emotions,
Right.
not sadness and uh, grief. Those jealousy, insecurity, all of those things we're told we're not supposed to feel.
Mhm.
Like jealousy is a female trait.
Mhm.
Like that was in 90s hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So for us that grew up in the 90s, we're hearing jealousy is a female trait. So now I'm jealous. I don't know what to do with it. And I'm going to react negatively because I don't know what to do. And I don't know what to do with this.
Mhm.
So let me just be angry.
Right.
And because I know growing up, well, hell, even until a couple years ago, like anger was the only emotion that I was comfortable expressing. All that other shit meant that I was weak.
That's it. In a nutshell, being masculine has completely changed. Just
Yeah.
what it means to be a man is we've gotten to the point we changed, because before it was just no emotion is manly, which is crazy, because that just led to a bunch of men not knowing what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Enough of that negativity though. Again, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
For sure, man. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I end every episode with a quote because I love quotes in particular, because I think people have dealt with situations and have found ways to express it. And I think a good quote kind of just works. So for me, the quote I think of, the one that I come up with that ends this episode is, where is it? You will earn the respect of all men if you begin by earning the respect of yourself. We start from within. Love yourself, respect yourself, be happy with yourself, deal with yourself, and then everything else is going to work itself out. And people will see it.
Yes.
That's it. And with that, thank you again. Thank you to the listeners. Thank you for listening to Men of the Prize podcast, where your inner monologue is revealed. You have a good night. See you next week.